On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside episode 404 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains on a Senators preseason game day. The team is in Montreal with what is close to the NHL roster, and they've made a big signing. Yes, Tyler Ennis has signed off his PTO, $900,000, one-year contract. We've seen him play up and down the lineup through preseason, but I'll get Pilsey's take on where he thinks Ennis fits best with this team. We also get into how it affects the Senators' quest to reach the cap floor by Monday. Real exciting stuff. Then we get into a couple listener questions and players that could be available from around the league. We've also got a great interview to tease for tomorrow and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today is Thursday, October 7th, and Pilsy, what do you want to start with, the game day or Tyler Ennis?
Let's start with Tyler Ennis. I mean, this is something we've been waiting on for quite a while. He looked to really impress DJ Smith. DJ Smith had a lot of glowing reviews for him in his post-game pressers and before games even. So I think it's great that the Sens got this done. $900,000 deal, one-year deal for Tyler Ennis coming off a PTO. And it's a nice reunion. Like, I'm sure the guys in the locker room are glad to have a guy like Tyler Ennis back. He's a shifty, small forward that can get the job done. He can put the puck in the net. He can play up and down the lineup. And I think he's going to add a little boost to the second power play unit, which we know from last season could really use some help.
That is the number one reason I think Tyler Ennis signing that one-year contract is huge, because we saw even in his first stint with the Ottawa Senators, he's a power play type guy. Yep. So I don't know if I love him on the point where we saw him play in that Winnipeg game, but he's shifty, he can slide all over the ice. This guy with 643 NHL games of experience. Only Michael Del Zotto has played more games on the Ottawa Senators roster than Tyler Ennis, and then Nick Holden's the only other guy over 500. So just from that, you can kind of tell where he stands in terms of a leadership perspective. But during his last stint with Ottawa, 10 of his 33 points were on the power play as well, and that was with a much more depleted roster as we were in the beginning phase of the rebuild. I guess the second phase, 2019-2020, the COVID-shortened season. He ultimately gets shipped out in exchange for a fifth-round pick. He goes to Edmonton, and this is why I'm not putting too much stock in his numbers with Edmonton. They weren't necessarily great. I mean, he had 4 points in 9 games after the trade, but then only 9 points in 30 games this past season, including, get this, none on the power play. And that's because the Edmonton Oilers' first power play unit plays a minute and 50 seconds out of the 2 minutes, if not the full 2 minutes. And if you had McDavid, Draisaitl, and Darnell Nurse, you'd probably do the exact same thing. So Ennis wasn't able to advance on that opportunity for him. And shout out, happy belated birthday as well. He turns 32 years old yesterday, gets the contract today. Where do you find 5-on-5 he'll fit in best on this team?
Well, I would really like to get him in a third line role, right? Like, I think you could play him on the fourth line and you'd be all right with that. But Austin Watson is your fourth line right winger. I think that's pretty much in permanent marker. They've tried him up on the third line, which I think is nice to give him an opportunity. But we know what Austin Watson is. He knows what he is. Let's keep him on that fourth line in a role that he really succeeds in. And then Tyler Ennis, you need to give him a little more opportunity. I think, like you mentioned, that's a big reason why things didn't work out in Edmonton. And it's too bad. Like, when he got traded to Edmonton, Ross, we were happy for the guy. We're like, hometown kid. He's got the the speed and the skill to play on that lineup. But Edmonton kind of did a weird thing last year where they just picked up all these kind of random guys and hoped that things would work out, right? Like, I don't think they really had a solid game plan for how they were going to use guys. And that's what happened to Tyler Ennis. Like you said, he didn't get enough time in the power play, couldn't get things clicking, and it just didn't work out for him. So he's back in Ottawa. I'd like to see him in a third line role on a line with Formanton. And I would have said Colin White would be that centerman, but it seems like he's going to be out for a long time here, which is really unfortunate for him. But maybe you get Nick Paul centering those two guys, and I think that could be a really good line.
The Senators have put out their classic photo with Pierre Dorion like standing behind Tyler Ennis. I'm actually going to pull it up right now if you're watching on YouTube. Remember, you can follow the Locked On Senators podcast wherever you download your podcast, your favorite app, or on YouTube as well. If you haven't subscribed there yet, we do really appreciate the views there as well. Sorry, I'm just pulling this up. We're our own producers here, which makes a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys saw on yesterday's, we added a little fun of Guy Boucher in there as well. But Tyler Ennis does sign a 1-year, $900,000 ticket, and there is your classic photo. 32.
At least Dorion's smiling this time. At the last deal, he was just standing there so stone cold face. Like,
was that for Ostapchuk?
Yeah, it was for Ostapchuk. Yeah, just like, well, crap, we had to do this. This one he actually looked stoked about.
Ennis almost looks like one of those guys where it's like, you might be wondering how I got here.
Yeah, like record scratch at the start of a movie. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, he's spent 10 years in Buffalo, so maybe he's seen worse. But That being said, no, so his best years are behind him. There's no doubt about that. Like 21 goals, 20 goals, that's behind him. But what would you say if he does play the full 82 game season? What's a realistic number to expect Tyler Ennis to produce? And if you're a Sens fan, you're wondering, what did he do in his last stint in Ottawa? 14 goals, 33 points in 61 games.
Yeah, so I think Tyler Ennis's future and opportunities really depend on when Brady Tkachuk is coming back, because that's going to be obviously a forward that's going to bump everyone down a notch. So we'll see what happens with him in the shuffle. If Zach Sanford wasn't brought in, I would say his spot is all but safe. But now with Zach Sanford here, then you got an extra forward there. And then when Colin White comes back, I do anticipate Colin White will be back at some point this season. So he's going to come back. That shifts things too. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of, like, I was about to say long-term role, but Tyler Ennis is probably only here for the season, maybe only till the trade deadline, let's be honest. But I think he's going to get an opportunity to start on a third line, like I said, and a second power play unit. So I would say up until the trade deadline, that's like 55 games, something like that. So in those 55 games, we could see him creep up to a little past 10 goals, maybe 15 assists. So I would say somewhere between the 25 to 30 point range would be a good goal for Tyler Ennis here.
Yeah, it would be successful, but you lost me at saying that everyone will get put down once Brady's back. So I'm hoping that the numbers are less then, so that he doesn't have to play up the lineup as much. That being said, Tyler Ennis, a versatile player in his own right, and we're excited to have him back because I think he could do well with a guy like Shane Pinto also. So stay tuned, see if maybe they try that out. Although I also love the line we saw yesterday at practice. We'll get into what we saw there, preview tonight's game. Before we get to that, some news coming out about Carey Price, and we just want to wish him all the best. NHL and NHLPA coming out. You're shaking your head because you think it's a knee injury, Pillsy. I don't think you've seen this yet, but he's voluntarily entered the NHL program. I'm assuming the same one that Bobby Ryan was in a couple of years ago. So wishing Carey Price all the best there. Of course, you never want to see when off ice things, need to be taken care of. It obviously takes precedent over NHL. It's Elliot Friedman tweeting out, the NHL, NHLPA announced Carey Price will be away from the team to voluntarily take part in the player assistance program.
Wow. Okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that at all. I thought, like you said, it was a knee injury, but hey, you got to take care of yourself off the ice as well, especially if anyone's had some high pressure on them and had a lot of stress and anxiety about what they're doing in their job, it's Carey Price being, I was about to say overpaid. I don't think he's quite overpaid, but he's one of the highest paid players in the entire league and a goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. That is a tough task to be doing for his entire career. So really hoping all the best for Carey Price here.
Yeah, I found it interesting in the Canadiens press release this morning. There was a line not about that, but about the game day preview. Said Price is still recovering from off-season knee surgery that has prevented him from participating in training camp. He's also sick right now. Like that line there kind of threw me for a loop. So, anyways, best wishes to Carey Price, one of the best goalies when he is on his game. So Jake Allen will be in goal against Ottawa. We believe both the Senators and Habs will ice very close to their NHL roster. And that means if you want to wager on the game, go check out betonline.ag. October sports are here. The baseball playoffs, the NFL every weekend. And, well, they also dominate Thursday and Monday and whichever else. If you want to bet on college football, that's here every Saturday. What I'm telling you is that the catalog of wagering at betonline.ag is enormous at this time of year. You got all your future bets you can get for the NHL. We'll get into those next week leading up as we're 1 week away from Senators opening night. But if you go to betonline.ag and use the promo code Locked On, that's promo code Locked On at betonline.ag. It'll get you a 50% welcome bonus. How good is that? You put in $200, bingo, bango, bongo. That's $100 right there in your account. And if you put in $100, yes, that's $50 free play money that you can wager to whatever you believe will make you more money. Love to hear that. BetOnline.ag. Don't sit on the sidelines. Get into the action. And don't forget the promo code Locked On to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
Ross, these days when you're filling up your car at the gas pump, it can be alarming. Gas prices these days are through the roof, and you might be thinking, well, this is all just downside. I'm just spending so much money on my gas. Well, why not try to get a little upside? And the best way to do that is to get the Get Upside app. Everyone who buys gas needs to know about Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. How about that? Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use promo code HOCKEY and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. So that's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free. Use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50% cash back on your first tank. 50 cents per gallon, that is. Some people who drive a lot more are making as much as the $200 to $300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash gets directly put into your account. You can cash out anytime you want to your bank account, to PayPal, an e-gift card for Amazon, and other brands. So they make it easy for you to get that cash back. What an awesome deal for Get Upside. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code HOCKEY to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code HOCKEY. Get some cash back on your fill-ups, guys, with Get Upside.
All right, Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators are heading to Montreal today. Before they do, though, DJ Smith is currently addressing the media. No skate today, but I did find it interesting. He went out of his way to say that all the lines and D combos are going to change today just to test it out, just to see. So we mentioned it's going to be as close to an NHL roster as possible, but could the lines be completely jumbled? Probably. So we can't really take any guess on that, but there is more news to get to. And let's touch on the franchise because we got into that, especially on yesterday's show with the D pairs. DJ Smith saying that Brannstrom will play with Nick Holden tonight. He says, quote, "We have 8 very good defensemen. We need to see who slots in there." But get this, Pillsy, I want your reaction to this. You haven't heard this one yet. I've seen big changes in Brannstrom's game with his confidence and the way he moves the puck. It's the best I've seen him.
Wow, that's great. First off, DJ Smith maybe toned down the hyperbolic statement saying we have 8 very good defensemen. I know you got to gas your guys up, but 8 very good defensemen is probably a stretch. I don't think there's many teams in the whole league that have 8 very good defensemen. But moving on from that, it's nice that he's finally giving Brannstrom his flowers here, right? Like it seemed like before. Like, what was that? There was one quote where they asked him about Brannstrom, and he just quickly moved on. Like, he was like, yeah, he's all right, and then moved on. Whereas every other player, he gave like 3 sentences as to why this player is doing well, all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to hear him praising Brannstrom for once. And hey, Brannstrom's going to get an opportunity to play with Nick Holden. Like you mentioned earlier, Holden is one of the more veteran guys on this D-core. He should be a stabilizing presence, and hopefully that can help Brannstrom kind of get an upper leg and try to get a spot on the NHL roster here. But also, it kind of makes me think, depending on what they do with Michael Del Zotto, maybe getting paired with Nick Holden isn't a great thing, because Nick Holden might be the seventh guy looking out here, right? Like, so maybe that's a sign that, we still want to get you in NHL action, but we're not ready to commit to having you placed with one of the NHL roster guys because we need other guys practicing with them. So it's an interesting move to have him set up there.
If he says the best players play, Nick Holden cannot be out looking in. He's been better than Del Zotto and Josh Brown. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that you're going to play your best players and then sit out what would be, at the very minimum, your third best pair after Shabbat and Zub. And then you've got the Zaitsev pair now with Victor Mete, hopefully going forward. But Pilsy, him just complimenting Brannstrom like that, I think is huge, because he hasn't done it often in not only this preseason, like you mentioned, but all of last year. It seems like when he does something bad, you hear about it, but when he does something good, not so much. So let's see how that goes tonight. Anton Forsberg will start in goal and play the entire 60 minutes. And Philly franchise will back up Matt Murray not feeling very well. So Matt Sogard has actually been called up as well. He'll be the third guy, so don't expect to see him on the bench or on the ice, but just a administrative note there. Matt Murray not feeling so well. So hopefully he can get back recovered, because it would be great for him to play that finale of the preseason in Toronto on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's really important for him to get that game, because not only is it the final preseason, but then you're playing the Leafs in the home opener, and then you're playing the Leafs again right after. So why not?
And again right after.
Their first three regular season games are the Leafs?
Two.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Regular season plus the preseason.
Yeah. So 3 in a row here. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. Like, you might as well get him familiar with his opponents. The next 3 games are going to be up against them. And yeah, Matt Murray, he needs to come into this season feeling healthy and confident. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me hearing that he's not feeling well heading into the final preseason game. Well, after this one with Montreal. So hopefully he gets that figured out. But I'm excited to see Anton Forsberg start a whole game. He's someone that's going to be a critical part of this team moving forward for this season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does. And I think with Matt Murray, unfortunately, having injury problems, it's very likely Anton Forsberg is going to have to step up for some stretches here in this season. Hopefully not. But it is the case sometimes.
Yeah, Matt Murray just sick right now. So not an injury like he had multiple times last year, but what does suck is the injury bug has bitten Colin White. DJ Smith just announcing, he said he just got the news. Colin White needs surgery. He's out 4 to 6 months. That is a huge blow for Colin White, so don't expect to see him before the Olympic break in February.
That's tough. I mean, we knew it was going to be long-term, but that's about as long-term as it gets, right? Like 4 to 6 months. There's not much more recovery that happens in hockey, really. So that's really tough, other than concussion issues sometimes. But, man, tough for Whitey. And I mean, his future is going to be very interesting to see what happens with him moving forward here, especially if these injuries keep piling up and he doesn't get a chance to prove he's worth this contract that he signed so long ago. So we're wishing the best for Colin White. And man, Ross, this sucks. Like 2 weeks ago, we had Colin White and Brady Tkachuk penciled in the opening night roster. Now you're missing 2. Obviously, Brady Tkachuk is a major influence, and Colin White maybe doesn't move the needle too much, but that's a guy who has decent NHL experience and I think is a good locker room guy and someone that we expected to have a bounce-back season. So to have neither of those guys in the opening lineup is real tough for DJ Smith.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm just doing some quick math here, and like February, March, April, I'm not going to say his season's done, but he's going to be hitting the ground that's already running 100 miles an hour. That being said, being a shoulder injury versus, let's say, an ACL like Crookshank,
he can skate. He
can still skate. So at least he'll be able to do that. Meanwhile, Crooker's probably just doing ripping curls in the gym and just trying to get that upper body strength where it can be, and then he'll get his legs underneath him as well. But even Crookshank was 3 to 4 months? I feel like the diagnosis was a little bit less.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks for Colin White, man. So the Senators all of a sudden extremely, very, very thin at center. You wonder if they had known that this was going to happen. Of course, you can never predict injuries, but would Logan Brown potentially still be here as a depth center?
I'm not even going to dive into that, Ross. We know that the relationship here with Logan Brown was done. The only reason he signed that contract is to get himself in the NHL contract club. Like, he wasn't signing a deal with the Ottawa Senators. He was signing a deal with his employer,
with the NHL.
Yeah, and hoping to move on from there. So I'm not going to buy too much into that. Although I will admit it would have been nice to get a center in return, right? Like Zach Sanford, as far as I know, only plays the wing. So that's tough there when you shipped out two potential like middle six, we'll say kind of bottom 9 centermen there. So that's tough.
So it looks like that opens the door for Andrew Agozzino, because Parker Kelly's hurt right now. So is Crookshank. So is Clark Bishop, another guy who probably would have gotten NHL reps.
Michael Amadio's looking pretty good right now.
Oh,
damn.
We don't say that name anymore, especially after that heartbreaking goal on Monday. But that being said, Pilsy, one of the other centermen in the organization who could get games this year will be joining us on tomorrow's Locked On Senators. Should we go ahead and let the people know?
Yeah. Let's announce it.
All right. Mark Kastelik will be on tomorrow's show, a guy who Igor Sokolov and Angus Crookshank both brought up to us as a guy who has really impressed them. He's calling him a beast and just a huge presence out on the ice. So we're looking forward to talking with him, and I expect more Belleville Senators interviews, especially now we've got a great relationship with the communications guy. We can't even just call him that. It's Footy on the Air.
The communications guy.
He would smack me. We're going to get Footy on next week too. Awesome. We'll get a season preview for the Belleville Senators because they've been robbed. I think Troy Mann mentioned this in the media a couple times, like 2 years in a row now. They've been robbed of what could have been postseason pushes. And right now you're looking at a rebuild that hasn't had playoff success at any level. Like the 2011 Binghamton Senators got that job done
10 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, that set the table for 2013. Like guys like Colin Greening and Erik Condra, depth pieces that really helped out at the NHL level, and Robin Lehner going on that run, and obviously his career taking off to become an NHL starter. Okay, all that being said, the Montreal Canadiens are icing again, just like Ottawa. They're close to NHL roster. Cole Caulfield will be back, his first preseason game after being out with injury. So yes, we have Shane Pinto versus Cole Caulfield in preseason action. You love that.
Favorite battle.
You gotta love it. Okay, not only that, we also have some sponsors to get to, and then we were written in, I'm pulling up the name right now, by Puck Junkies at TrueFanNet. He's got a question for us regarding a potential trade candidate. And no, it's not Phil Kessel, although I'll ask Pilsy where he thinks Phil the Thrill might end up when he gets loose, because the Coyote said that he's not in their plans. He'll have to pack his car and drive to wherever he's going to go. And when Phil Kessel's car breaks down, he goes to Rock Auto, because rockauto.com is a family business that serves auto parts, and they've been doing it for 20 years. You just have to go see it for yourself at rockauto.com and shop for auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. They have everything there. I'm talking engine control modules, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil. You can even get new carpet. And whether it's your classic or daily drive, get everything you need in a few easy clicks delivered directly to your door. The rockauto.com catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. Quickly see all the parts available for your vehicle and choose the brands, specifications, and prices you prefer. Best of all, prices at rockauto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. Why spend up to twice as much for the same parts? Don't do it. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. All we ask is that you put Locked On. That's Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? That way they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. All right, Pilsy, let's start with Phil Kessel real quick. Not going to be in Arizona, not a part of their plans. He's got 1 year left. And is that what Sens fans are getting excited about? The fact that he has 1 year left on his contract, that His cap hit is $8 million, but he's making $1 million in base salary.
Yeah, that's definitely like this screams Ottawa Senator potential because only $1 million. Although he must have already got paid his signing bonus. That usually happens
July
earlier.
1st.
Yeah, so
whatever the first day of free agency is.
Yeah, so he already got paid his $5 million signing bonus. Now he only has $1 million in actual money owed to him. But I think one thing that Sens fans are maybe overlooking is he does have a minor no trade clause and no movement clause. I'm not sure what here it is. Player submits an 8-team trade list. So he has some control over where he goes. And I would probably guess Ottawa might not make it on his 8-team trade list. So it's not likely he would come here, but it is an interesting move because you lost a guy in Evgeny Dadonov, a right winger who can really snipe the puck, but you run into the same problem with Phil Kessel. He can't play with pace, and I'm not about to be one of those guys that's going to get on Phil Kessel for his fitness. We don't need to get into that and the whole hot dog thing. Like, it doesn't matter how in shape this guy is, he still scores goals. Like last year with the Arizona Coyotes, an absolute dumpster fire of a team. He got 20 goals, 23 assists for 43 points in 56 games. Like, that's pretty good for a 34-year-old on a crap team, right? So I think he definitely still has some juice left in the tank, and that shot is still really good if you can set him up in the right spots. But I just think you're finding a replacement Dadonov in this scenario. And the Arizona Coyotes, they're in full scorched earth mode, right? Like, they're trading away anyone with any talent, and they're just trying to get picks and they're willing,
picks.
And they're willing to take on money and stuff like that. So I don't see a deal where the Ottawa Senators send over prospects or picks or anything for half a season of Phil Kessel, right? So I think it's a nice idea, but it's not something the Senators or Phil Kessel would probably be interested in. So we can move on to the next targeted player.
Yeah, I mean, did you say he has a 23 no trade list?
I don't know. I'm kind of confused with what the no trade list is.
Well, he submits a list of 8 teams that he can be traded to.
Yeah, so essentially, if you flip that, then there's all those.
Sorry, 24. I forgot about Seattle.
Yeah. So basically, that is true. That's how that would work. So I think I could see him going to like the Rangers or something, right? Like so just a team that needs a little veteran scoring. And I think Phil Kessel would love being in New York. I think that would be right up his alley.
I'll go dark horse team, San Jose, a team who,
But he said he wants to go to a contender. Come on.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear him say that, but I just, he had some great success with Nick Bonino, who I just found out is with the Sharks now.
True.
So maybe that's a reason for him to go out there, and there's
he would like San Jose, I bet.
All right, so we got a couple other listener questions. We'll start with the one on YouTube from Jason Dunn. He's great, comments on everything. We really appreciate that. Thanks, but buddy. I think this is going to be a really quick no from you, Pilsy. I'm not going to read the entire thing, although I do like this one. He goes, "Boys, you're kindred spirits with me in that you guys are thinkers. Love this show, even if I don't agree with you at all times." And Jason,
I haven't been called a thinker very often, so I'll take that one.
I love it, though, where he says, I don't agree with you all the time, and then he gives me reason to disagree with him. So it was perfect. He just said, honestly, we're so stacked at left wing that it might be time to think about trading Brady. So would you like to stop it there?
What? That's going to be a big thumbs down for me. If they trade Brady, we might start a new Locked On podcast here, Ross. Maybe we'll
Locked On Stars.
Yeah, or
he's trading Brady to the Dallas Stars.
To the Dallas Stars
with Brannstrom.
Oh,
and 3 second-round picks.
Who's coming back?
Gurianov, Thomas Harley, and a first.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no on that one. Thanks for writing in, though. We appreciate the engagement. But if they trade Brady, we'll just be a Locked On Belleville Senators podcast. How about that? Or Locked On Gladiators. Let's go.
Oh my God. There is actually a Gladiators podcast. We're going to get the host on. Once they start their season, we'll have to go down and check out the farm and figure out all of that great stuff. Yeah. I don't have the name in front of me, but we did the old follow you, follow back, fun stuff on Twitter. So that was great. Okay. A little more realistic. And Jason, we do appreciate it, but we can't talk about trading Brady Tkachuk. This guy, the whole credibility of the organization is about keeping him. We can't. Yeah, we just can't.
Nope.
Sorry.
Mm-mm.
Now, at TrueFanNet, Puck Junkies, Senators on Twitter. I think he's got a big Facebook feed as well.
Yeah, he's engaged a lot as well. Yep.
What are your thoughts on acquiring a player with term like Boone Jenner? He goes on to say that Boone Jenner is a perfect second or third line center, a true DJ Smith style player, and we have a young abundance of picks, and we could be offering them prospects in return. Your thoughts on the potential of Boone Jenner coming to Ottawa?
Very interesting, because I think he also mentioned that he would be a DJ Smith type player, which I agree with. I think Boone Jenner definitely would. He's worn an A for the last 6 years or something in Columbus, at least 4 or 5. So he's definitely a part of that leadership core. His contract situation, he's signed for 5 more years at 3.75. Yeah. He re-upped for the exact same dollar amount, which is very interesting. He was already on a contract that was paying him $375, and then he just re-upped for 4 more years of that, if I'm reading the cap friendly correct. So he's going to be signed till he's about 33 years old. He's 28 now. My kind of problem with this, though, is don't you kind of already have a Boone Jenner type guy in Zach Sanford? Like Boone Jenner
center, though.
Yeah, exactly. He's a centerman, and he puts up a little more points consistently, and he's a little older, so he's a little ahead. But I kind of see that as a very similar player type, although Sanford doesn't get as gritty and tough as Boone Jenner tends to do. So that's definitely an improvement there. But also, I'm not really too interested in getting a guy with that much term. Like, I don't know how he's going to do if he switches organizations. And I think this is someone that I don't know how this came up, if there's rumors that the Blue Jackets are shopping Boone Jenner or something. But in my mind, he's one of those guys that they're pointing towards free agents and up and coming draft picks, being like, see, Boone Jenner likes it here. Like, Boone Jenner wants to stay in Columbus. Like, you should too. Like, why not sign an 8-year deal with us, right? Like, don't take off like Matt Duchene. Don't take off like Artemi Panarin. Don't take off like Seth Jones. Like, stay here, and Boone Jenner will take care of you. So I feel like he's a guy that they don't really want to trade. They want to keep him around for PR, and I feel like he's a guy that actually likes being there too. So I see the opportunity, and I would say if you're looking at a guy like Boone Jenner, then I would shift focus. I'm not too interested in him, and I don't think it would fit. Maybe look at a guy like Adam Henrique a little bit more, if that's the type of player and the type of move you're looking to get. I think they're very similar type players, and we already know Adam Henrique has good chemistry with Nick Paul and Connor Brown. They played together at the World Championship, so that would be somewhere I would pivot. I think it's a nice idea, but I don't see it happening for the Senators, and I don't see another reason to get another third-line center. Like, I feel like there's a bunch of guys that can fulfill a third-line center role, and you're trying to keep that spot for Colin White when he does come back from injury.
Did you see that Boone Jenner had a 30-goal season?
Yeah, that was in 2015, 2016, though, so it was quite a while ago. I think he's a very consistent player where he's in the mid-30s in points, right? Like mid-teens in goals, right around 20 assists. So, I mean, that's fine. And for that dollar amount, it's actually a pretty damn good deal, and he's not too old. But I don't see why Columbus would trade him. So that's a head-scratcher for me.
Yeah, only 8 goals, 9 assists in 41 games.
But that was a terrible Columbus Blue Jackets team. Oh, man. And I was looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets stats. Michael Del Zotto led that team in hits by a mile, which is something that really surprised me. So I guess we can expect him to play a little bit more physical when he's here with the Sens.
Interesting. That's great. I heard he was also the only plus defenseman on the team as well in plus minus.
Patrick Laine was like a minus 29 and only had 10 goals. Like, jeez.
Wow. You see his goal last night, though?
Yeah, that was filthy.
On Moritz Seider, too. He went outside in on him.
Ooh, I didn't notice that. Damn.
Oops. Yeah, and then beat the goalie. Hey, let's finish up today's show and head into our interview tomorrow with Mark Kastelic with a little On This Day in Senators history. And shout out Faces Magazine in Ottawa for putting this out there. 26 years ago today, Daniel Alfredsson played his first game for the Ottawa Senators. My question to you, Pilsy, do you think he scored?
Yeah.
No, he got an assist. Close, though. Close.
Damn.
Yeah.
On the score sheet,
but it was his first point in a season that would have 26 goals and 35 assists.
Woo.
And he won the Calder Trophy for league's best rookie in 96. Pilsy, he is one of a very short list of players. I want to say the only player but I could be wrong. And yes, this opens up the door for some bad memories because the final year was with Detroit. However, he is one of, if not the only player in NHL history to lead his team in scoring as a rookie and in his final season.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. I can't believe he led that Red Wings team. Yeah, wow.
Well, there were a lot of injuries in front. I'm actually going to pull that up right now.
Yeah, didn't Zetterberg miss most of that year?
And Datsuk, and there were a couple other guys who points per game wise were way ahead of him. But that being said, you got to produce, right?
I just pictured Alfie in a Red Wings jersey.
I know. I'm looking at it right now. It's disgusting. He was tied with Nicholas Kronwall, but Alfie also played 11 less games than Kronwall. And then, guys like Gustav Nyquist played 11 less games than Alfie and had 1 less point. Zetterberg had 48 points, so 1 less than Alfie, but he played 23 less games. And
wow.
Yeah, they had a lot of injuries that year. Datsuk missed a lot of games. Johan Franzen missed a lot of games. And that being said, all right, that's enough for Alfie.
Yeah,
but it is an unbelievable accomplishment.
Definitely.
As a rookie and as a 41-year-old to lead your team.
Longevity, consistency. You got to love it.
Praise Alfie. Hopefully we got even more great news to come. Although there wasn't all great news today. That
Tyler Ennis, let's go.
Yeah, that Colin White injury sucks.
Yeah,
the Carey Price situation sucks. Let's hope we can feel good Friday tomorrow for sure. Going into the final preseason game. But I guess to end off on a great note, how about DJ Smith telling Erik Brannstrom he's a great player?
Yeah, you gotta love that.
Nice.
That's a big boost for Brannstrom. A guy that deserves a boost like that. I feel like he's been working hard lately, and he deserves a little props.
Love it. And he got them indeed. So today, the Ottawa Senators are in Montreal. Game time, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in on TSN and TSN 1200. You can follow us on Twitter at Send Central. We'll be locked on to that game. We'll be tweeting out asking you who your locked on player is just before puck drop. So stay tuned for all that. And tomorrow, Mark Kaslick joins us. We also have a recap of tonight's game. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. Thanks so much for listening. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team